Joe Spadoni filling in for Bonte Hill. Sam Lubin alongside filling in for Joe Shasky.
I'm having a meltdown.
Tough loss for the Warriors and tough loss for Bonte last night. Miami Heat 114, Golden State Warriors 102. He looks sharp, though. Him, Festus D. Wright doing a hell of a job on the pre- and post-game coverage.
Some great kicks on last night, Bonte.
He did. His game, his sock game is on point. The kicks, they're doing just fine over there. The Warriors, listen, tough losses. I understand it. You're going up against some of the league's best right now. And what made last night even more frustrating is you got your asses kicked when they weren't even at their best. That being the Miami Heat, not having Jimmy Butler, not having Kyle Lowry. But Sam, you heard from Pajemski, you heard from Trace Jackson Davis, we'll hear from Klay Thompson, Steve Kerr. They just didn't think they matched the energy of the Miami Heat last night. But Eric Spoelstra, head coach of the Miami Heat, didn't sense that at all.
No, I did not sense that. When you're sitting in the seat I'm sitting in, or I guess standing on the sideline that I'm standing on, you're always on edge that they could go on an avalanche really quickly. When you throw on any one of their games, they're as explosive as any team, in this league offensively, particularly what they've done in the last, 2 weeks. No, that was not our message. It was more about what we were trying to do.
There you go. So the message wasn't, just having more energy and matching that intensity or anything like that. No, just the Heat culture. Once again, we've been talking about culture this entire opening hour. What is it for the Golden State Warriors? Also talking about Jonathan Kuminga, Andrew Wiggins. When both those two guys on the floor, Sam Lubin mentioned the stats, it's not good. It's not pretty. Probably the two worst tandem as far as the stats go when those two are on the floor together. So something's got to give. Is it going to be Kuminga moving on? Is it going to be Wiggins? A trade is on the horizon. I know that, and I just don't know what it's going to look like. And we got a lot of time to figure that out. Draymond Green still has to return the lineup, so things still have to shake out here, Sam. But 15 and 16 right now, heading into the new year. A lot of questions for the Golden State Warriors.
And they still got one more game tomorrow night against Dallas. So they got Luka and them coming to town tomorrow. So they can still head into the new year with at least a 500 record. But it's a serious decision the Warriors have to make on who you choose there, Wiggins or Kuminga. Because I do feel like you're reaching a spot where you can't have both of them not even on the floor, but maybe they might be too redundant on this team, especially when you get GP2 back and Draymond Green back, and the minutes crunch becomes even more of a headache. Right now, as far as you go with, I probably would lean a little bit more Kuminga right now, mainly because I feel like Kuminga just has a better desire right now. I think that his comments to Marcus Thompson the other day were, I think, born out of frustration with just him wanting more for his role on the team, and guys like that, I think. Do
you think that's immaturity, though? Do you think the Warriors view that as an immature comment? And then
I don't think it should be viewed at that.
Yeah, I think Steve Kerr was saying that, making the comments the other day after I feel like he was kind of pressing around it. He didn't want to outright throw the guy under the bus, but he's like, yeah, maybe next time he just doesn't say something like that.
I still like the attitude, though. It's the attitude of a guy who wants to get out there and compete and show that he's as good as he thinks as he is. Whereas Andrew Wiggins, I'll be honest, we've heard this in the past about Wiggins, but we're questioning the desire to be out there. It seems like at certain times, it's just he's a ghost of himself most of the time out there on the floor, and I just see more of a future upside with Kuminga. With Wiggins, I feel like it's just he's a change of scenery guy now. Let's put him in a different spot and let some other team deal with him at this point. It's the patience with me and Wiggins, it's starting to wane. And I've always been a big Wiggins guy, but it's just not happening anymore. Where Jonathan Kuminga, right now, I'm willing to invest more stock in him long term. And he's a younger guy. He's a guy who's only going to get better. So I'm willing to roll with that probably for the next 3-4 years over Andrew Wiggins.
Well, what's frustrating with Andrew Wiggins is you just saw probably his best game of the year on Christmas. He was carrying that team. He ended up getting the closing minutes over, obviously, Jonathan Kuminga, why Kuminga was frustrated. But then you see the consistency just not being there. He's consistently inconsistent, Andrew Wiggins, this season. 11 points, 4 of 11 last night. It's just not going to get it done. He's already on a bench role, and if he's trying to play himself back in the starting lineup, that's not how you do it. You have to build games here. You can't just have one-off every week. Can't it be once a week you have one good game? No, that's not going to cut it. It's just not on this team. A team that has championship aspirations still. And Andrew Wiggins was the second best player on a championship run. And I think a lot of us, me included, maybe you, Sam, thought heading into this season, if the Warriors were going to have a chance, Andrew Wiggins, again, would have to be the second best player on the team.
They needed playoff run Wiggs if they wanted to be good this year.
And he was good in the playoffs. For as much time as he missed last year, I thought he showed up very well in the playoffs. Obviously, he got hurt late in that Lakers series. But him coming back, I just think, threw a monkey wrench into the entire development of Kuminga, of the starting line once they brought GP2 back. And once GP2 does come back, maybe we'll play tomorrow. We'll see what's going on there with his calf injury. Looks like he's practicing again with the team. So is that going to be another monkey wrench into this whole entire situation with GP2 now coming back? How does that factor in Wiggins, Kuminga? Just so many damn question marks with this team right now. And I don't have the answer. I don't know if Steve Kerr has the answer right now.
Well, they still have time to figure this out. Again, the trade deadline is until February. You mentioned,
we're 31 games in. It feels like, I'm feeling like I know who this team is. They're a 500 team.
They are a 500 team. This feels very much like that play-in year right now. But yeah, they still have time to kind of figure out what moves they want to make. They probably aren't going to have the luxury of figuring out how Draymond fits into this team before the trade deadline gets here. They're going to have to just kind of figure out what kind of a team can we put together and then welcome Draymond. I don't think Draymond's come back before the NBA trade deadline. I'll say that right there. No, it's his.
Slater was on yesterday with us. He thinks it's going to be sometime mid-January.
Again, that's one of those things we discussed this a little bit yesterday. It's just, if it does come back that quickly, then it's like I'm going to have very low expectations.
And the trade deadline, as we all know, it's going to be Thursday, February 8th of next year.
As we all know. Everyone wakes up knowing that knowledge every day. I need
to educate everyone.
Yeah, well, again, we don't need to educate because everybody already knows. Everyone that's listening is like, oh, thanks for that information. I already knew. Because I totally knew when the NBA trade deadline was. What are you talking about? So yeah, they're going to have to, it's a lot they have to figure out. They're not going to have a complete picture when they do figure it out. And yeah, that's going to be a very fun time for Mike Dunleavy. You mentioned the consistency there, Spadoni. Yeah, Wiggins has been consistently inconsistent, and that's not good enough. Whereas Jonathan Kuminga, especially over the last month, since the start of December, he's had double-digit games scoring every month except for on the second against the Clippers. But yeah, double digits. It's just he's limiting turnovers for the most part. I mean, again, last night was a bad game for him with a turnover.
Yeah, not good.
He had 6 of them, but I mean, I'm looking at, he had, 4, 7, about 10 turnovers in the month of December prior to last night's game. So for the most part, Kuminga, he's been a much more consistent player this past month. I don't know how much stock you put into that going forward. I'm going to put a bit more stock into it because, again, I see Kuminga as a player who's still ascending overall in his development, in his performance. The Kuminga we're seeing right now is not the best Kuminga we will see in his career. Andrew Wiggins, I mean, if I told you that the Andrew Wiggins we saw in the Warriors championship run back in 2022 was the best Andrew Wiggins that we will see in his entire career, would you be shocked?
No. I don't even expect him to ever get back to that level again at this point.
Then at that point, if that's the Wiggins we need, and we need that Wiggins.
Yeah, I don't think it's happening again.
For the Warriors to be good. So therein lies, I feel like, the answer. If you don't feel like Andrew Wiggins is going to get back to that level of performance that he was once at, that was helping the Warriors win.
He'll show flashes, not to cut you off there, Sam. He'll have games here and there.
He really has. He'll have moments during games.
Even in the playoffs, he'll have a game here and there. The problem is the entire series, I'm going to need that consistency. Games
are not won in a moment. They are won over 48 minutes. And Andrew Wiggins, he's a guy that you'd get 1 or 2 good plays out of him a night, and you're like, oh, okay, maybe that's the Wiggins we want to see. But then he retreats back into, it's like Homer Simpson retreating back into the bush. He retreats back into the shrub of mediocrity, and it's just not going to help the Warriors at all. If he's not going to step up, and if you don't think he's going to be the guy that he was when he helped the Warriors win a championship, then what are we doing holding on to him?
This segment is sponsored by Golden State Lumber, serving the Bay Area for 3 generations. When you succeed, we succeed. Visit goldenstatelumber.com. Talking Dubs taking the L last night to the Miami Heat at home at Chase Center, 114-102. Not a great game for Steph Curry. Not a great game for this guy, Klay Thompson, talking about it after the game.
Yeah, it wasn't great tonight, and I don't know. I don't have a great answer for you. Can't blame BP. It's hard to bring the energy he does 82 nights a year, but he does it to the best of his ability. Just not the best performance tonight from anybody.
Do we know how Klay got to the game last night?
Thank you. You just need to play that. I haven't played that in a long time. Because you know what? Who was that? Was that Danker saying he has sea legs?
Yeah,
so that's
sea legs
actually
Clay.
Sea legs Clay. That's kind of what
sea
it
legs Clay last night. For the
last
first
two
time
nights, honestly.
Last 2 nights, yeah. Well, I don't know, maybe not in Denver because there's no water.
There are
in
rivers,
Denver.
right?
They got pools or something.
Pools,
I don't know. Well,
yeah,
it's pretty cold out there in Denver too, so everything's probably frozen.
That's true. I've never been. Have you ever been in Denver?
I have not. No, it's definitely a place I need to go. I think like I want.
I don't travel anymore. I have children, so
true.
it's not possible.
I mean, outside of Disneyland, where else are you going to go? That's the only place you need to go, really.
Disney World, maybe.
No, just do Disneyland. Disney World's overrated.
Really?
Oh, it is. It's too big. It's way too big.
I guess I'm not taking like a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old there. Like
I would wait
Disney
till they're
World's
a little
like when they're like in elementary school, maybe like 8, 9, 10.
Yeah, because I mean, first off, you're in Florida, so you got to deal with the humidity there. There's a lot of walking around. It's an ordeal.
Well, go see the Orlando Magic, who the Warriors are going to be facing here coming up. Maybe
That's
see
true.
Paolo
Yeah, by
Banchero.
then in a few years, who knows where the Magic could be? They could be like in the 5 or 6 spot. I don't know where they are right now. Actually,
I think
they are in playoff position right now.
No, Paolo's legit. Franz Wagner, a guy that many thought the Warriors should have drafted instead of Jonathan Kuminga.
But Denver, at some point, I want to do like New Year's fan resolutions or something like that during the show. And one thing I really want to do in the next year is I want to get out to a game at Coors Field.
Okay,
I just feel like that's
the one for you. The Colorado Rockies. I got to go out.
Well, what I want to do is I want to sit. As you know, in the top row, they have like the ring of purple seats that sits. It's a mile above sea level. Like I've always wanted to sit up there. Mile high above the. Watching a game from a mile above. It
must have been fun. Cool. Our own E-Dog Evan Giddings went to the home run derby there. So, and that was when Matt Olson was there, just hitting bomb after bomb after bomb. Pete Alonso.
Yeah. So I'd like to go to Denver. So I have a cousin who lives out there.
We'll put that cap on that conversation in regards to Denver and the Golden State Warriors. And